For decades, the smooth, soaring tenor of Wes Hampton, a voice woven into the fabric of the Gaither Vocal Band, has been a source of sheer joy and profound spiritual lift for millions. More than just a musician, his distinctive sound and unwavering commitment to his faith have cemented his status as a beloved icon in gospel music, a quiet pillar supporting the lives of those who follow his ministry. Yet, beyond the stage lights and soaring harmonies, there lies a far more human, deeper narrative. A story of fierce family devotion, a quiet, searing tale of personal sorrow, and a stunning, almost unknown controversy that tested his very core, threatening to shatter the foundation he built his life upon. This is the authentic story of Wes Hampton, the singer, yes, but also the devoted husband, the protective father, the survivor, the quiet struggler, and the spiritual warrior, a voice powered by purpose. Though Wes Hampton was born in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1977, his formative years unfolded in Birmingham, Alabama, a city steeped in both history and deep faith. His connection to music was innate, almost pre-verbal. His mother often recounts him, at just 3 years old, already harmonizing effortlessly in the back seat of the car. He quickly moved from the pew to the platform, singing in church, where his exceptional vocal range and rich tone garnered immediate attention. He honed his craft through high school choruses, local musicals, and church activities. But the calling was never about the performance alone. From the beginning, he believed his voice was a sacred gift, meant for connection and comfort, not personal applause. He pursued a degree in psychology, first at TCA Nazarene and later at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. But it soon became clear, his true therapy, his real calling, was not in a clinical office, but on a stage, speaking truth into weary souls. He felt an intense pull toward ministry, recognizing that his psychological training gave him a unique ability to connect with the tired souls in the audience, understanding their pain on a deeper, clinical level, which only amplified the spiritual power of his music. This dual commitment to art and to empathy would become the hallmark of his career, a bridge between performance and actual pastoral care. Wes Hampton stepped onto the national stage in 2005, chosen to join the legendary Gaither Vocal Band, one of Southern Gospel's most respected quartets. It was a life-altering moment. Though tasked with filling the massive shoes of previous tenors, Wes never sought to be an imitator. He brought his own, unique timbre, genuine, crystal clear, and emotionally potent, swiftly defining the group's new generation. He became a centerpiece of the famed Gaither Homecoming series, featured on countless tours, and contributed to multiple award-winning albums. His interpretations of hymns and anthems like "I'll Pray for You," "Jesus is Everywhere," and "These Are They" are now indelibly etched into the hearts of gospel fans globally. However, the world of evangelical celebrity exerts immense pressure. Hidden behind the joyful pictures and powerful stage presence was a man navigating a profoundly human life, complete with immense sacrifices and a constant fight to remain tethered to what truly mattered. Wes and Andrea Hampton forged a marriage in the late 1992, building a life centered on unwavering faith, family, and authenticity. They were blessed with 4 sons, and Wes often speaks of fatherhood as his ultimate calling. While his social media overflows with genuine family moments, reflecting his true priorities, Andrea remains his private, most trusted confidant. She is known for her quiet strength, fierce loyalty, and deep privacy. While Wes traversed the globe singing about Jesus, Andrea was often at home, the steady anchor raising the boys, maintaining normalcy, and offering prayerful support. Wes consistently credits her with keeping him grounded, once beautifully stating in an interview, "She knows the Wes that the crowd doesn't see, and she still loves him." Every great artist has an unsung hero, the spouse who holds the home together while the world cheers. Andrea Hampton has always been Wes's quiet hero. Their love story began with passion and lofty goals, but unlike many, they would soon face unseen emotional trials. Andrea is graceful and reserved in public, preferring to support her husband from the wings. In private, she became his literal lifeline. As a mother of four, she bore the massive, disproportionate weight of holding the family together, while Wes toured relentlessly. Despite their public face of unity, their marriage was not immune to the strain of perpetual distance. The emotional exhaustion of constant separation set in. Andrea often felt abandoned to manage the entirety of home life, school, doctor's visits, discipline, and emergencies. While Wes poured himself into his ministry, it was Andrea, strong yet deeply private, who courageously suggested counseling. They weren't facing divorce, but they were quietly disintegrating from emotional distance. Counseling was brutal. It required pausing performances and confronting painful truths. Andrea confessed feeling invisible, even deserted. Wes, in turn, grappled with the guilt of missing birthdays, festivals, and the subtle, fleeting shifts in his children's lives. The very thing that sustained his spirit music was subtly corroding the thing he loved most: his family. The pressure to be a good Christian man on stage clashed severely with the practical reality of being an absent father at home. This internal conflict, the chasm between his public calling and his private role, became his deepest source of regret. They made a stark commitment to rebuild. They instituted boundaries. Wes began significantly cutting his time away, skipping optional tours, and fiercely scheduling just us time. Andrea reclaimed her identity beyond the gospel singer's wife, returning to writing and Bible study groups. Recovery was a slow, sometimes agonizing process, but it was genuine. Their bond deepened. They learned the sacred art of being present, a skill more challenging than any vocal technique. Wes eventually began sharing fragments of this difficult marriage journey in small gatherings and interviews. In one moving testimony at a marriage seminar, he confessed, "It wasn't my wife's preaching that saved my ministry, it was her honesty. She reminded me that if you gain the world's success but lose your house, you have nothing." Their story provides a raw look at the reality for many Christian couples. Even the strongest relationships can falter under pressure, but recovery is possible through prayer, humility, and honest communication. Following the storm, Wes now publicly recognizes Andrea as his co-minister in life, often stating that she speaks to uplift him, just as he sings to uplift others. This private restoration lent a powerful new sensitivity to Wes's music. His public persona became more authentic, his songs more intimate, and his performances more deeply grounded in emotion. Together, they now quietly mentor younger couples in their community, guiding them through the same highs and lows they endured behind the scenes. Andrea's wisdom, though unheard on stage, has silently transformed lives. Their imperfect journey holds immense power, demonstrating that love, even when frayed by distance and duty, can be mended through grace, truth, and the courage to fight for it. In the midst of his ministry, personal tragedy cast a long shadow. Few admirers grasp the depth of suffering Wes Hampton has privately endured. Though viewed by many as a happy, devout man, the Hampton family experienced a devastating loss in 2012 when Wes's younger sister, Lauren, died suddenly at the age of 28 from complications of a rare autoimmune disease. The family was shattered. Wes was on tour when he received the call. Years later, he recalled, "I remember falling to my knees in the dressing room. I couldn't cry at first. My soul just seemed to go mute." Taking a necessary hiatus to be with his family, Wes returned to the stage weeks later, his heart heavy and his voice strained. But he chose to channel his grief, not hide it. Psalms and songs like "Glorious Impossible" and "Sometimes It Takes a Mountain" took on a searing, fresh significance for both him and his audience. In a blog post, he later revealed, "Grief is not a lack of faith, It is the cost of immense love. In the meantime, I sing with her in mind, knowing I will see her again. This tragedy fundamentally altered Wes. He became an open advocate for mental health and a voice for grieving within the Christian community. A gentle, honest willingness to say, "Yes, I love Jesus, but I also hurt," in a genre where difficult subjects are often avoided. The catastrophe forced him to reconcile the promise of heaven with the ache of the present, forging a more nuanced, deeply authentic faith that resonated far beyond the footlights. In 2019, social media erupted with rumors concerning an alleged dispute between Wes Hampton and another gospel performer. The speculation claimed Wes had walked out of a tour date after a backstage argument over artistic differences, a spat that some attributed to ego. The reports were never officially verified, yet for days, gospel blogs and Facebook communities were ablaze. Headlines were dramatic. Conflict in the camp, gospel giants in feud. And is Gaither losing Wes Hampton? Initially, Wes remained silent, but as the story spiraled, he posted a measured, dignified response on Instagram. Stories that are not entirely true circulate sometimes. I have the utmost respect for everyone I work with, and while differences may occur occasionally, love and unity always prevail. It was not a defensive rant. It was a testament to maturity. The incident, however, was deeply painful. Privately, Wes confided that the hardest part was not the unfounded claims, but the presumptions made without his input. He never left the Gaither Vocal Band. In the following months, his performances became even more focused, not as a defense, but as a silent declaration that his mission transcends all else. Wes has continued his solo career, releasing albums like A Man Like Me and Reality, which blend emotional honesty with motivational lyrics. Through these projects, he delves into themes of doubt, struggle, and finding hope in uncertainty. In interviews, he often emphasizes that music is his therapy. "When I sing," he stated, "I'm not just performing, I'm processing." He also dedicates time to mentoring burgeoning gospel artists, imparting wisdom on maintaining longevity, spirituality, and grounding in the industry. For Wes, legacy is about being known for who you are, not just your accolades. Through all the soaring highs and crushing lows, Wes Hampton has remained centered on Christ, never pretending to be perfect. His message to his fans is simple: faith makes life possible, but it does not make it easy. Wes embodies a gentle consistency in his faith. Whether leading worship on vast stages or praying with his sons before bed, it is always genuine, never showy. He once articulated, "I want to live like Jesus in how I lead, listen, love, and forgive, more than I want to just sing about him." While Wes Hampton is known for his voice, his true gift is his heart. A heart that has been broken and painstakingly repaired. A heart that has quietly endured personal tragedy while leading multitudes in worship. A heart that continues to serve from a place of humility, not perfection. In a culture that often prizes image over integrity, Wes stands out. Not because he avoided trouble or criticism, but because he remained loyal to his core values: faith, family, and the call to use music to serve. His story is far from over. The impact of his journey, the honesty, the grace, the simple perseverance will echo long after the final note fades. Wes Hampton's voice has always been recognized for its strength, clarity, warmth, and hope. But if you have followed his story closely, you realize his true legacy lies not just in the songs he sings, but in the life he leads. Wes's career, spanning countless national tours with the Gaither Vocal Band to intimate worship gatherings, has touched millions. His voice has become a celebration for the devout, a solace for the wounded, and a silent companion for those driving alone late at night when worship music is playing. But the true power of that voice comes not just from training or innate talent, it comes from the life it has lived. The loneliness of hotel rooms far from home, the stress of a moment misinterpreted in the spotlight, the devastating loss of a sister, and most importantly, the genuine, slow restoration of a marriage that nearly dissolved behind the scenes. Wes Hampton's imperfect journey is a constant reminder. Faith does not remove hardship, it sustains you through it. In the relationship of Wes and Andrea Hampton, there is something more significant than a happy ending. It offers a transparent look at what it genuinely means to stay in a relationship when the emotions wane, when exhaustion creeps in, and when the silence between two people is louder than the cheers of any crowd. They did not fall apart in a spectacular public implosion. Like many couples, they simply began to lose themselves in the noise of duty and ministry. Yet, their story is beautiful because they chose to confront, name, and rebuild from that broken place instead of avoiding it. Andrea's courage to speak her truth, and Wes's humility to listen, transformed what could have been their end into a new beginning. Their commitment to healing, not just for their marriage, but for themselves, demonstrates that healthy relationships are not defined by the avoidance of pain. They are defined by the sheer effort put into overcoming it. In the Christian community, being used by God is a frequently discussed concept. For many, this means performing on a stage or speaking before massive crowds. But sometimes, being used by God means sitting across from your spouse and admitting you're tired, you're lost, and you need help. Ministry is not always conducted in a sanctuary. It can happen in a counselor's office, at a kitchen table, or on a silent drive, where neither person speaks, yet both understand the stillness is sacred, and that kind of ministry is holy. Furthermore, Wes's story reminds us that when God gives you a platform, the accompanying music is not always celebratory. Sometimes it is accompanied by tears, but it remains holy nonetheless, and it is always worth it. Despite his personal sorrow, Wes kept singing. He had to, not because it was easy. His faith did not crumble at his sister's passing. It deepened. He began to see worship as much a form of lament and submission as it was of joy and delight. In doing so, he gave thousands the permission to know they were not alone in their own grief. His quiet strength in the face of the unfounded scandal also demonstrates integrity. He could have lashed out. He could have attempted to defend himself with anger. Instead, he chose grace, knowing that character always outlives headlines. He chose to trust in truth and in time. Very few people ever saw that moment, yet a person's response to what happened to them is often the most significant part of their story. In this chapter of his life, Wes continues to serve, love, develop, and sing. His music has evolved. His voice now carries a deeper weight, molded by the fire of experience as much as the certainty of faith. His advice to others is straightforward, especially for those in ministry or committed relationships. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to show up. You don't need to have all the answers. You simply need to show up with integrity and with love, even when it is hard. Most importantly, you don't have to cover up your scars. Because often, your greatest ministry comes not from your strengths, but from the places where God met you in your weakness. Wes and Andrea's marriage is far from flawless, but perhaps that is precisely why it matters, because it is real. Because it demonstrates that love does not only show up as romance. Sometimes, it looks like difficult conversations. It looks like learning how to truly hear one another. It looks like apologizing even when you're exhausted. It looks like choosing each other over and over again. The quiet work they did behind closed doors, despite years of being pulled apart, is a form of testimony the world desperately needs. What can we take away from the Wes Hampton narrative? We remove the idea that greatness is measured by the volume of your audience's applause, and realize it's measured by how well you love when no one is watching. We remember that struggles, stress, and disagreements do not disqualify you. They define your humanity. And we understand that mending takes time, but when humility and grace come together, it is always possible. Wes Hampton's life reminds us, every voice you hear on a stage has a story. Every song is a journey. And sometimes, the most broken places produce the most exquisite harmonies. The message of this authentic journey is one that will resonate with anyone who has ever fought for their marriage, lost a loved one, suffered in silence, or stood tall in the face of miscommunication. The voice of Wes Hampton, therefore, transcends mere vocal mastery. It is a vessel shaped by the very fires of life he sang, about the loneliness of the road, the searing pain of familial loss, and the quiet, persistent effort required to mend a fractured home. His true legacy is not defined by album sales or awards, but by the courage he showed in making his brokenness public, transforming vulnerability into strength. He continues to stand on the stage, not as a flawless icon, but as a humble, resilient man, reminding all who listen that the most powerful ministry often flows not from perfection, but from the deep, rich well of a life fiercely lived and faithfully restored. His is a melody of hope, a powerful, sustained note, proving that even when the light of the spotlight is brightest, the quiet, persistent love of family remains the holiest ground.